Debjani, the question I want to ask you is, why are there so few women leaders in tech today, not just in India, but even globally? And how do we fix that?
Two issues, right? It's a push and a pull issue, right? On one hand, the first, legacy leadership has primarily been one gender. And usually when you hire, in fact, I was thinking Roma was going to say that, one of the biggest biases is you believe the best person to do the job is the one who's exactly like you.
Yeah.
And if you are a male, you are going to believe that the best person to do the job should be male. And it's maybe unconscious or whatever, but it is a bias. A lot of people, and same with women, by the way. If I'm looking at a successor, I would look first at women and then at men. So this is a bias, and because it is pretty much driven by one gender, it's a dominant gender, that has played a role. Right, which is slowly breaking. We have some really good CEOs who are saying, my succession plan must have a woman in it. Second, we need more ambition. We need women to be way more ambitious than what they are today. A lot of women will not put their hands up for the top job. Going back to Vanita's point about I may not be qualified and all of that nonsense, but a lot of women who also are qualified somehow do not want to put their hands up. And maybe this has to do with balance and family. And I think at some point, we have to figure out, today when you look at a CEO, I completely do not agree that a CEO's job has to be one where he or she has no time for family, no time for anything else.
Yeah.
We have to change some of those things. We have to rewrite the job descriptions, right? Because every job description today is written from the lens of a male. We have to rewrite the leadership job description so we build in the time for family. We build in the time for work-life balance. For both men and women.
That's what we're hoping to do, the diversity of representation that we're trying to create here to show that women can truly do anything that they want to do as long as there is an environment that allows them that opportunity. That's the attempt. But, Vanita, let's talk about the journey from here on, because you've been able to build this company, you've scaled it up. A possible IPO is something that you're considering as well. So is that the next target that you've set for yourself?
Yes, Biotique is planning its own IPO in 2025. Biotique is a zero-debt, privately held company, and and unlike other companies which are just going for funding, and we have grown with 30% year on year. So we've had extraordinary growth over the last 20 years and a double-digit bottom line. So our IPO will be very interesting, and we are looking at 2025 to go IPO.
Well, that's certainly going to be an interesting one to watch out for. But, while you were setting up Biotique, which were the role models that you looked up to? I mean, everyone here is talking about the lack of role models. Who were you looking up to say, this is who I would like to model myself on?
No, I actually wanted to preserve health and beauty for a lifetime. That was my passion, and Ayurveda is the elixir of youth. So I wanted to be beautiful and young.
Forever.
So that's the reason I started the company, honestly. And then I saw that lots of other people wanted to be beautiful and young forever. So that's the genesis of the company. It was not perfectly business, but it was a passion to preserve health and beauty for a lifetime, which is becoming the buzzword today. So Ayurveda actually has understood how to preserve. It's the elixir of youth.
So you truly converted your passion and your wish list into a very viable, very profitable and successful business. Absolutely. Debjani, let's talk about the big India story at this point in time, which includes the startups. And what we are seeing within that ecosystem as well is the imbalance. And a lot of the women founders who we have spoken to do believe that, again, the bias comes in the way of being able to access funds, being able to start businesses that typically are not seen as women-led businesses. So if you're doing high tech and you're a woman, then you get looked at differently. From that perspective, do you believe women-only funds is perhaps an answer, or to bridge the gap, to close the gap? What do you believe we need to look at, and what should we do differently?
See, I'll just take a step back. The biggest challenge ahead of the tech industry is to get AI right. It is a foundational technology. It's going to disrupt everything. It's going to change every business model. We have to get it right. Some of the biggest problems we're grappling with in AI is trust. It's alignment. These are some of the core problems we are today grappling with, right? Personally, I'm convinced that you cannot solve for these problems without getting women in, without expanding the AI horizon, without bringing diverse voices in, diverse opinions in. So for this industry, if job one is to get AI right in the next few years, we have to figure out how to make women a core part of this industry. Absolutely, right? So it becomes imperative for the industry. Now the question is whether it's startups, whether it's big companies, right? Now the question is how do you do that and what policies, etc. do you need to change? Yes, for startups, it's not just women, funds for women. I think that always helps, but even existing funds, we have to remove the gender biases that exist. I honestly think someone should publish a dashboard for all the VCs to say how many women, founders have you invested in.
Yeah.
We have to hold up the mirror at some point in time. But I just think we have to build this into everything that exists, because we're entering a stage or we're getting into a phase where time's running out. We have to figure out some of these challenges of alignment, of trust, if we want AI to scale, going back to the conversation we were having without the panel, but before the panel. If AI doesn't scale, then what good is it? Where's the promise,
the transformative impact that everyone's talking about? Yeah. Well, Romal, in conversation with CEOs, in conversation with the clients that you have, is this one of the top priorities, at this point in time, in the top 3 priorities from a CEO's point of view?
It's definitely amongst the CEO's priority. May not be top 3, but definitely a priority at the board and at the CEO level. It's clearly a priority. So, but I guess, like I said, there are 2 or 3 things which I think is also important. One is, we do work with a non-banking financial services company in northern part of India. It's interesting that the data analytics reveal that when you give a loan to a lady, right, even at 1% lower interest rates, you actually still make more money than a man, more because the pride of women of not defaulting is much higher than men.
Yeah.
The second bit, I think, in corporate India as well, is the retention problem, which is 52% now. In fact, in our campuses, 52% women come in at the entry level, but at the middle level, and we sometimes as corporates also say, what happens at your home is your problem. You come here. I think you can't segregate that. You need to provide help and assistance during that particular time. If you're able to help, whatever, it's not necessarily the family, but it could be some issues that if you can help manage, right, you don't get intrusive, but if you can help manage, and if they can tide over that 1.5 years, you'll see a lot more women leaders, because we're seeing at the middle level them falling off. And that's important at that level, that 18-24 months, if you can support.
Yeah, since we're talking about leapfrogging, that's the perfect segue to close the conversation. I'm going to ask you to start, Priya. The one thing that you would like to leapfrog with, what's the one idea, what's the one thought, what's the one wish?
I want to say a story about one of the ladies that is our head of security, and who I met a few months ago.
And she's the head of security where exactly?
Security at Hindustan Zinc.
Okay.
And actually last year when I met her, she told me, Priya, I have only 2 dreams in my life. And she's part of the LGBTQ community. She said that I want to get my mother a house and I want to adopt a baby girl. So this is a very special occasion, because only a few weeks ago she called me and she said, you know what, I've done both. She just adopted a baby girl and she had gotten her mother a house. So really, honestly,
more power to her.
So it's there's nothing that follow your dreams, whatever and whatever dream you have, and this is something I can say that My father's always told me, if you know you're doing the right thing, be fearless and just keep your feet on the ground, and then you can accomplish anything. So that's just really my message to all the women out there. Just go for it.
Absolutely. Just go for it. Be fearless and do what your heart tells you to do. Debjani, the one thing that you would like to leapfrog with?
You know, I think the skills supply chain is going to become most important for overall supply chain resilience and business continuity. And I want women to be the must-have for a successful skill supply chain strategy. You cannot think about it without thinking women. And to do that, we have to get clever. You know, Vineeta talked about upskilling and reskilling. I think we're losing that battle, by the way, because technology is changing way faster than we can skill people. But I do believe we are going into a generation of co-pilots. For everyone, we are going to have a co-pilot, wherever our job is. There is going to be a co-pilot helping us with that. If we can get clever and start training women more on cognitive, analytic, creative skills and ability to manage this co-pilot process better than anyone else, they're going to rock. So I really want women to be key for supply chain resilience.
Romal?
I think today's real volatile world requires IQ and EQ, and I do believe that that combination is probably better. For whatever reasons, it is better with women. So you need more women leaders, and you do need my wish is really that mindset. That I was trained by 3 women, and today I'm the CEO. But I can tell you that the credit is to them who trained me.
That's why you're so nice.
So I really do believe that mindset, if they can change, we'll see a lot more women leaders.
Well, this is a panel where I will give the last word to the only man on our session, but it's been absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing your personal stories, but also more important, sharing your insights on what needs to be done to ensure that we do create equal opportunity workplaces, because that truly is going to unlock the potential, not just for India, but for economies around the world. When you unleash the economic potential that women offer, I think we will all be in a much better place. Vineeta, Romal, Debjani and Priya, thank you very much for joining us here on Powered by Parity. Appreciate your time, and thank you so much for joining us in Davos. That's it then on this special conversation from Davos from all of us here on Powered by Parity. Thanks very much for watching.